Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome to This Week in MMO, episode 197 for July 7th, 2014. Why are you looking at Elite Dangerous? We have no cameras, we have no music, we have no intro, we have nothing. I've got a lower third though, so there you go for that. I don't even have a bug, but we're here. We're doing a show. Couldn't get it to the studio, so I'm here. Justin's here. Troy's here. What's up?
We're kicking it old school this week.
We are. This is
No
like
intro
really
music
weird.
brought to you by Twitch.
I cut the music early. So what are we gonna do? So we don't have any cameras. So basically, we're gonna do This Week in MMO, and we're gonna talk shit. And I'm gonna play Elite Dangerous because I need to back my credits. Somebody kamikazed me last night and just destroyed my ship for about 100,000 credits. And like a noob, didn't have enough for insurance. So I'm back to square one.
And here comes the real reason why TWIMMO is like it is this week, because Ganon cannot step away from Elite Dangerous.
You're
Be bothered to do his show.
pretty much correct. All right, I'm going to all in. All right, first up, so the big news this week, definitely everybody's talking about it, is Twitch putting the clampdowns on music. People playing music during the streams. You're not going to get flagged during live streaming, but you are getting flagged for VODs, or they're muting your content in 30-minute chunks, apparently. So how does this work? So even if you have like 2 seconds of audio that slips in that's a music track and it flags it as a song that's copywritten, 30 minutes of your show is now muted?
I'm pretty sure because I looked at some of the videos, looking at some VODs and stuff, and it was like an MLB game, and like it played like a split second of the song, and the next 30 minutes were muted.
Wow.
It's a pretty intense system they've got going on right now.
That's how YouTube works as well, I believe, is with the audio algorithm. My buddy had a really good idea. He thought this was crazy. I was telling him the news today, and he was like, wait a minute. So he's like, so if there was like a protest going on, I could kind of just stand out there with a boombox and just play music really loud. And basically I would just deafen the entire thing and nobody would ever see the video. And I was like, yeah, I guess that would work.
For the most part, YouTube though, I think it does one of two things. Certain things, it just literally makes it so you can't add monetization to the video, so you can't make any money on it. It'll usually flag those, and then it will tell you like it's this 15 seconds or this 10 seconds or whatever they tell you. So there's the ones they do that, so they must have like a classification for that. And then the other ones they do it, which are, I guess they're more serious ones. They just literally mute your entire show's audio because of the issue or something.
But I mean, we kind of knew this was coming, right? I mean, we all know that we're not supposed to be really streaming copywritten music. I mean, YouTube's been doing it forever, and we kind of all knew that it would come down eventually. I think, I don't know, I kind of feel like they're getting more flack because of the whole Google buyout, and now everybody's going, oh my God, Google's in there, and it's been like a week, and they're already putting the clamp down. But I think Twitch would have done this eventually anyway.
I don't think they would have had a choice. I'm actually pretty surprised that it's gone this long without something like this taking place. Twitch is really booming right now, so the fact they've gone this long without having to step in and do something about it is really shocking. So, I mean, if you're mad about it, just be mad about it. You should have been doing it in the first place, and if you didn't see this coming, you haven't been paying attention to the world around you.
Well, and I don't think people... Yeah, there's no reason anybody should be mad about not being able to stream music themselves now on their stream and expect it to be in there and make money off of it, because that would be stupid. Like, you might as well tell all radio stations that they no longer have to exist because all the Twitch people are allowed to do it. They have to block that from that standpoint. But I think what bugs people, what's really getting people mad, is the in-game music is being flagged and blocked as well. So any game that has in-game music that's in the system with Audible Magic, whoever the heck they are, whatever music they have, it'll flag it and block it, even if it was part of the game.
Now, is that
itself.
because like the composers are put that music up and it is copywritten as well, and they probably sell the soundtracks on iTunes and things like that, I would imagine. So probably all
There's a ton of reports of flags for things like Dota 2 got their own freaking the international tournament flagged for music and stuff, and all their music was music that they composed. And there's lots of instances where people are getting flagged and muted for things that aren't like third party commercial music. Some in-game music. I mean, yeah, probably there's licenses out there where people you don't expect own some of the music to some of those video games. But the unfortunate side effect of all this is that there is collateral damage in this, and there are people getting flagged unjustly. and we're still kind of waiting to see how that all sort of gets sorted out in the long run as far as the appeal process.
I wonder what they're going to do too, because it hasn't come over into the West yet, but Spotify actually has a service, I think, in the EU where you can pay a certain amount per month and have a broadcast license to basically play anything you want. It's like, I think it's about $500 a month, maybe. I could be wrong, it might be less. But I think if you pay something like that, you could basically stream anything out of Spotify for broadcast reasons. And we were actually looking into it, but now I'm thinking there's no way that Twitch or YouTube are going to care about you having rights like that, and like, you know,
yeah, the software's not going to know that you have that right.
No,
and that's the biggest other issue. Like, we know YouTube doesn't care about anything. You have the right to use it. Well, we're never looking at that, so who cares? I mean, there's no way to even defend your stuff right now. In fact, they launched it, and their CEO does a little AMA today and makes a comment about saying, we're working on finding out a dispute process and false positives and looking into that stuff. But they just decided to launch it as is, with it flagging every single thing before looking into any of those issues.
Yeah, what a day to do the AMA. That was just a total cluster F. That was just a disaster of, like, why would you do that now? Like, let this, like, wreckage kind of, like, go by. Like, everybody's freaking out.
Get some tweaks in. Let everybody calm down a little bit. You should have known what you were walking into in that AMA. I even said, when I wrote up the article last night, I believe it was, and, you know, we had the announcement that they were doing the AMA today, I even wrote at the end of the article, this should be very interesting to watch, because people are still going to be pissed about this.
Well, they were so pissed that every single one of his answers were downvoted, and then it was hidden.
That's just ridiculous. It's like, all right, everybody wants answers, and here's the guy who can answer your questions, and let's downvote them just to be asshats. So welcome to the internet.
The collateral damage sucks. The fact that, you know, games that or videos that shouldn't be flagged are getting flagged, yeah, that sucks, and that's not fair. Hopefully they iron that out over time. But at the end of the day, this system is in place because it has to be in place. It's legally required to be in place. You're not allowed to stream that third-party music. It's just that simple.
Well, and who does this really hurt? It doesn't. For someone like me, if I'm going to put a video out there, my VODs are not being linked to on Twitch. If I'm doing a stream like that and I'm going to put something out there for people to watch, I'm recording it myself and putting it up on YouTube. Yeah. So I know there's certain people that use the Twitch VODs as their primary source, and they don't use YouTube at all. But I can truly believe that number is probably minimal and is a lot smaller than those who just put it up on YouTube.
I don't know. I kind of thought that once the Twitch YouTube deal would go through, it would take some time, but they would eventually merge kind of, whoa, look at that ship. That thing's gigantic. That they would merge the two systems and kind of have a more robust VOD system that was probably one and the same as even YouTube. So you could watch, you know, gaming videos on Twitch that were YouTube videos and vice versa. Like, I almost saw it possibly becoming one. I don't know. I mean, I think everybody saw this coming. I don't think it's that big of a deal for people who play by the rules. I guess if we are start getting flagged for stuff with no music or in-game music, that is kind of lame. But I mean, we kind of all knew this was coming. I mean, what are people really going to do? I mean, some people are probably going to run, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to go to one of these other. I'm going to go one of these other services that nobody really cares about. I mean, there's nowhere else to go.
YouTube streaming service.
Let me clarify what I said for chat room a little bit too. I don't mean that there's a law that requires Twitch to have an automated system to take down music, but there is a law that keeps you from rebroadcasting that commercial music, and Twitch is incorporating this automated system to protect themselves from future lawsuits, so their company doesn't go under paying millions and billions of dollars to these music companies. So no, there's not a law that says they have to do this, but there is a law that says you cannot rebroadcast that music. Even if you have a subscription to Spotify, that does not give you a rebroadcast license, that gives you a personal use license. So Twitch, essentially, they don't legally have to do this, but to protect themselves, they have to do this.
They have to do this. I mean, it's basically no different than like getting on your Twitch stream and firing up, you know, Star Wars and playing Star Wars back-to-back marathon and just watching it for everybody. It's not really any different. You're broadcasting someone else's content.
What I have this feeling this is a stipulation here. YouTube said, or Google's like, we're buying you out. However, it's going to take a while for us to transition your systems over to stuff on our systems. So before this buyout can take place, you've got to implement X amount of things. JTV closed down recently. Get rid of it. We don't need it anymore. We've got our own stuff for those live streamers who want to do that. We just want your gaming stuff. So maybe that was one of their stipulations. And the number 2 stipulation was, you've got to be taken care of for your copyrighted music and stuff. We're not going to have time to deal with that and get that system fully in, so you need to come up with something now before the buyout becomes public and it's finalized. And I really think that's possibly what it is Google's like, you got to have this before we can take you under our wing.
I do not believe in coincidence. It's no coincidence that all these rumors of Google buying them out are coming around, and then all of a sudden, here's this. There's no. I don't believe in coincidence at all. There's no accident that this is happening right around now. They're like you said, they're trying to get set up and ready for this deal to potentially go through.
Now the big question is here. So they keep trying to tell everybody that, hey, this is only for the VODs. We don't have any. We're not looking to do this at all for the live streams whatsoever. But do you believe it?
I think they don't have the technology to do it right now, but I think eventually when they do, it will eventually happen. It may be years down the road, but it will eventually happen that the technology will come around and they will start muting or shutting down live streams. They're
going to have Google money. It's got to be spots. It can't take them that long to put your stream through some sort of algorithm and flag it with Google money.
I think right now it would cause too much of a delay of it getting through and going through, and then having to send everybody's through like that constantly through a system algorithm checking that right now for a live stream might be a little heavy duty to deal with at this point.
You see a lot of people moving over to these other streams. Hitbox is one. There's another one that popped up. I don't see the big people that really matter leaving. I don't think anybody's going to leave the Twitch right now.
No, I think most of the people who enjoy Twitch and realize it's going to take some time to get this system completely ironed out, and hopefully we'll get a legitimate appeals process eventually, and problems like wrong flags will be taken care of. But just give it some time, let it get sorted out, and see what happens. There's no sense in making a snap judgment on it right this second. No, it's not 100% perfect the way we think it should be right now, but it is in place. So just give it some time and let them sort it out.
All right. So next up, World of Warcraft is obviously dead, dying. It's deader than a doornail.
Yeah, it's not going to make it.
Lost 800,000 subscribers. So now they are at 6.8 million active subs. This is like the lowest it's been since when?
Oh, that's the lowest number I recall ever seeing reported since I've been doing
4
this,
years ago, 5 years ago now, 6.
What do you think? Are we really on a steady decline, or is this just like the lull before the next expansion? I mean, we always see a boost back up during when the expansion hits.
Yeah.
But is it really going to come out, or is it finally is it really starting to just slowly decline?
We're not going to get up to 10 million.
Yeah, they're going to get a bump when Draenor hits, but I think we've seen the peak of what this game is ever going to be. I don't think it's ever going to reach those numbers again. There's too much other stuff out there on the market. There's too much choice now.
Yeah, Elite Dangerous is on the market now. Forget it. World of Warcraft is dead.
I think the max we'll see is 8 million, maybe, going back up. And I don't even think it will get there, especially since most are from the Eastern market, and I feel like most people who are going to resubscribe are going to be from the Western market, probably, for Draenor. And there's probably not going to be too many of them since there's not many that left, apparently.
And keep in mind, this is still a number that most MMOs would kill to have. 6.8 million?
Oh, my God, yeah. It's still like top dog. I mean,
they're not hurting for money.
Yeah.
I'll take 6.8 million subscribers.
It's really amazing how all these other MMOs come out. Even if you look at Twitch, you use it as a barometer to see what people are into. It's like you see these other MMOs come up and they kind of hit the top two lines of boxes on Twitch for like a week or two, and then they go away, and then World of Warcraft comes right back.
Yeah, World of Warcraft's always right up there in that top line.
Why?
It's
Why is that? What is it? Is it just the friend social thing?
Well, it's a time thing. I mean, they put all their time into something. They don't want to leave it. So yeah, it's their friends, socials, and just time. Like, why go to another grind? Why go to another game and spend hours on when I've already spent hundreds of hours on this one, and all my friends are over there?
I don't know. I'm gonna fly my ship.
It's an anomaly. Like every MMO that comes out gets compared to World of Warcraft, but World of Warcraft is not the standard for the MMO genre. It is the exception. It is an anomaly that exists unto itself. So any game that gets compared to World of Warcraft is just not fair, because this creature is its own thing, and I don't know that anybody will ever be able to explain fully what happened and how it got so big, and nothing else can even come close.
And everybody's still waiting for the next one. You know what? You're going to be waiting a long time because I don't know if it'll ever happen again. It may never happen again. Everybody always says the only thing that'll kill it will be another Blizzard game. Who knows? We'll see. I don't know. I think it just happened. It was just
until we have. I think until we have full dive suits, we need to be able to go into the game with our mind.
I'm kind of right there right now, man. Right there. Hauling fish. All right, next up. Russian gangs steal 1.2 billion passwords with 500 million email addresses. What's the story here? How did this happen? And do we all have to worry?
Judging from the initial story, yeah. I mean, these are some big numbers with lots of sites affected.
Ever, right?
Yeah, from the reports that are coming out. Initially, when I was reading through the story, I was a little skeptical because the site reporting it was a site that, you know, they sell online protection to big corporations and stuff. And at the end of their little report, they were like, you know, we're going to offer protection to people who want it. Then you read through it, and, you know, they're offering it for free. They're not trying. It doesn't seem like they're trying to just sell their stuff. And you know, New York Times has covered this. Huffington Post has covered. I mean, a ton of sites around the world have covered this. So it seems pretty legitimate that this has actually happened. It sort of came out at a convention where they were kind of letting, you know, everybody know that we've got these big mass numbers. This sort of criminal entity has accumulated. And you know they haven't released the sites that were affected or given you know notifications to the people whose names they know were affected. But one of the big things they wanted to point out that always gets pointed out when something like this takes place,
change your passwords,
is that people who use the same password for everything and don't change their passwords for a year at a time help add to the number, this 1.2 billion passwords. A lot of that is from people who use the same crap and never change it.
Well, they made it.
Your passwords.
There's only a few companies. Actually, it's funny you brought this up because just this week, I actually implemented a new program. I use a Mac for most of my normal day-to-day stuff, besides a PC just to game on. And I put a new piece of software on there. Let me look at what it's called really quick. It's called I think it's called iPassword or something. Let me look it up. But I kind of recommend, now that I'm getting used to using it, it felt like it was a real hassle to use in the beginning. It's basically a program that runs in the background, and it not only will generate passwords for me, it knows like when you're logging into stuff, and it will generate a password for you, and it generates like just the most ridiculous passwords that you'll never remember. But it saves them all and stores them, and then it locks them down on your machine. So if for some reason somebody got your machine, they can't even get in to do that. I think this is probably the way most people are going to have to go at this point. Like I said, I don't know if this is on. I'm looking for it here, but I'm sure there's some similar ones out there. Oh, 1Password is the one I'm using. The number 1Password. I don't know if there's a PC version, but this one did. I think this one did cost a few bucks. I think it actually was worth it because I was looking for something that would not only generate but also save them for me, and I think it is worth it.
There is several programs out there that are like that. I know there's one which I need to get installed. I was looking at it. I can't remember what it's called, but it would even it would go through, and as you sign into different sites, it would give you back a report and say you have 5 sites using the same password, or you've got 6 sites using the same password. Change these so that and it would literally make sure that they are all individually different. So that you weren't using the same password on multiple places, and it will just keep track of that. And you could download that on both your phone and on your computer and stuff.
Yeah,
there's definitely ways.
It's gonna get more and more serious. And I think for a lot of MMO players, they're kind of like internet geeks. They're on the net a lot. They got a lot of different things that they're logged into passwords with. I think a lot of people probably use the same password. So definitely change out passwords and consider getting something like 1Password or something like that.
I can foresee though where you have a biometric scanner. Just start selling a third-party device that connects to your computer.
I would do that already, to be honest.
And it's got to scan and log it whenever you log in.
That's got to exist already. That has to exist. Don't they have a USB biometric
two-factor
fingerprint?
authentication?
They must have.
They probably do.
I would totally.
That could be part of two-factor authentication right there. Just every single time, just deploy on multiple things. Just scan in for the second authentication.
Scan in. All right. So change your password. Change your password. Change your password. I got to stop here at Chango. Hang on. I'm coming in a little hot. People listening to the audio are just like, what is he doing? I'm playing.
Yeah, what is going on?
Actually, chat room, leave a comment below. Let me know if you like the show like this. This is kind of different.
Kodoshika just said it. LastPass is the one I was thinking of.
LastPass. Okay. So there you go. If you're on a PC, maybe check out LastPass. If you're on a Mac, check out 1Password. If they have a PC version of 1Password, I definitely recommend it. All right, really quick before we move on. Got to take a shout out to the sponsor. Not really sponsored, but we have awesome deals and we've got 20% off most games, a lot of them, including a lot of the upcoming games that are pre-orders, like Borderlands, the pre-sequel, Dragon Age Inquisition, Far Cry 4, a bunch of others. Go over, check it out, gboffer.com/gamefly. That's the link you can use. Take you over to a page and give you the codes and all that good stuff. And check it out because there's a really ton of great games over on Gamefly. So gboffer.com/gamefly. All right, next up, Troy, tell me all about it. ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, releases a new patch. This patch is the big guild patch, correct?
Yes, it was the big guild patch. There were a few other things included, but the big centerpiece of this was the guild functionality and the ability to create guild heraldry with tabards and such. And so the patch goes out, and everybody's excited to jump in and dye their armor and create guild ranks and customize that and get in to make their heraldry.
I sense something coming here.
And then guilds are disabled for like 3 days.
1 hour into the patch.
What happened? What was the problem?
So, and people logged in, and apparently it demoted every single person to member status except for the leader of the guild.
Oh, that makes sense.
So they were all demoted, and just the leader was up there. And I guess there was guilds who, like, their leaders hadn't been on for a long time or whatever, so they had no control to do anything with their guild, or the leaders just weren't going to be on. And then it might have caused some other problems too that I know of, but it's just like 1 hour into the patch, like, guild system's off. And then we didn't hear anything until the next day, and they're like, oh, it'll come back on Wednesday, which is the 3rd day after the patch.
So what are the big points, though? Is it a big patch for people to come back who are maybe unhappy with the guild stuff?
No, this is basically mostly a lot of cosmetic changes for people who are just kind of in the game already enjoying it, with the ability to dye armors and, you know, work with the guild functionality and have the herald system. And I mean, there were tweaks here and there to classes and things like that. The PvP campaign system got a little bit of a tweak, but the next big change to the veteran system is going to start coming again in the next update. So this one's more about if you're in the game and you're having fun, you know, there's some more cool stuff for you to do.
Well, for the PvP stuff, for those people who are in that game for the PvP, this is actually a big change for them. I wouldn't even call it little for them. For everybody else on the PvP thing, it was big because they got rid of all the campaigns and only came out with a few of them. That if you have like the vet only 5-day campaign, so only veterans can play in that, but it only lasts for 5 days and it resets. Non-vet for 5-day, and then there's a 7-day, 14-day, and 30-day campaign, which they got completely rid of the idea that originally 90 days. So the highest one is 30 days now, and then a campaign resets. So for those who do PvP, that is a big change for them.
And I think this is going to be part of an ongoing, you know, tweaking the PvP campaigns as they go along. You know, this may not be the final version of what they come out with this. There may be versions of this that work better than others,
Sorry.
And I'd say they're not done tweaking.
Just wreck.
I just bounced off the. That's the first time I ever playing this game that I've like hit the ground trying to land. But there's a big microphone in my way while I'm trying to land this thing. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Gary's bad at Elite Dangerous.
That's why he hasn't been shot yet.
What's the sort of the consensus from the peanut gallery of PvPers with the change of how many days? Is it a positive change?
I think for most people right now it's a positive change. We just don't. I think most of us don't know what it's going to be for them if they're gonna like this sort of stuff until it actually resets on them and they find out. For the most part, though, people did not like the fact that the 90-day campaign was. It wasn't that it was so long that it was bothersome. There was just so many of them, and they got stale. Whereas people switched around so often between them that it just and they were dead. So these shorter ones, more compact, fewer of them, I think is just making it a better matchup and better game time for people.
Next patch sounds like it's going to be the one that gets everybody back and ready.
Yeah, update 4 should start making some significant changes to the veteran rank system, which I think was a brick wall for a lot of players. And I think I know I've got several friends who have already said as soon as those changes get put in place, we're back.
There's gonna be problems.
There's gonna be
All
problems.
I can see is that I think SO has they've got 2 different departments with them. They have the think tank department, who comes up with these amazing ideas, and then they have the lazy development department. And everything comes in and just bugs and breaks. Air doesn't
Yeah,
get fit.
like the fact that the guild system took 3 days to get fixed, that they didn't hot fix that within, I don't know, at least a day, was a little surprising. The fact that the veteran rank system, like they've got all these changes and they sort of implemented changes, earlier this month, or last month, I guess this is August now, isn't it? But, at the end of the day, it wasn't really addressing the problem. The problem wasn't, people were complaining about the difficulty of the veteran areas, but that wasn't the problem with the veteran rank system. It was the lack of gaining experience and leveling up and having significant reward for doing so. So the fact, they've sort of tweaked little things here and there, but nothing really comes all working in together in one big patch is a little disconcerting, I do have to admit.
Well, we just gotta wait for the next patch. We just wait. All right, next up on the list, Star Citizen. Arena Commander. Available to alpha testers or those without a pass. So, I guess you could say I'm playing the competitor to Star Citizen right now, Elite Dangerous.
I think you're playing the game that's pushing Star Citizen to have to go forward with stuff.
Well, they need a pushing because I downloaded it and played Arena Commander, and I gotta say, I want to play Star Citizen, but I almost can't believe that they released Arena Commander in the state that it's in, because the controls to me just feel like complete garbage, to the point that I don't even want to play. It looks pretty, it looks great, but damn, just the controls are just terrible.
So it's already to the point where you'd rather play what you're playing right now.
Oh, I logged into
Star
Arena
Citizen.
Commander and played like 2 matches and logged out and didn't even want to try it anymore. It's just not even worth my time. I'm surprised. Like I said, I know it's alpha, but damn, it just feels terrible. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Dogfighting, but it looks good, but that's about it. Needs work. Is
there any date on Star Citizen? I mean, are we looking at 2019? Or?
People are like, trying to determine whether they should play Elite because it's, they're like, oh, I'm going to wait for Star Citizen. I think you're going to be waiting a long time. Like, there's already a lot in this game to do. I can't see you getting Star Citizen before 2016. I don't see how that's possible.
My biggest worry is Star Citizen is so focused on the visual side of it, and they just keep revamping all their stuff over and over again. I don't know if they're going to stop and just actually put out content or not.
I don't know. Are you guys fan of these types of games? These like sandboxy flight sim kind of games? This one seems to be catching on a bit too. I see more and more people are playing Elite.
Well, there hasn't been much. I mean, what do we have out there? Anything
No,
else
nothing.
to compare?
No, it's if you go back and look for space sims. Besides this, you got to go back to like the 90s. Not really, but there's some. I'm exaggerating.
I think people are wanting it. And there are people who are going to end up loving it right now, but nobody knows if they are really wanting to grab for it and push for it just because there's nothing out there to compare to. They're not jumping from another game to it. I'm ready for it. I'm done with the fantasy land up on the ground and stuff. Give me some sci-fi. Give me something out in space.
Yeah,
I'm done with zombies too. Let's get some freaking space flights.
I grew up on this kind of stuff. Like I grew up on the Elite series and Wing Commander and those games and the totally nerdy just flight sims. But I know that games like this are going to confuse a lot of younger gamers out there. Like already I get tons of questions about Elite going like, what's the end game like? And what do you do later? And it's like, whatever you want, do just whatever. It doesn't really matter. There's no end game. You just play it, which is weird. There's no levels. There's no nothing. You just go out and fly around.
In every other industry though, fads make a circle at some point. So what is the gaming? Are we coming? Or is that what we're coming back to now? As we are in the sci-fi space time of video games? That's what we're back into.
That's exactly what we're back into. It's the 90s again. They exhausted the fantasy genre, and now space sims are the people in their 30s and 40s grew up with these games, and now they want them back, and they're tugging at the heartstrings. So. They're a lot of fun. They're just different type. It's a totally different type of gaming. And I don't know if the gaming world. I mean, I think they're still going to be really small and niche games, though. I don't think they're really going to catch on. Like back in the day, the Wing Commander series was pretty big for the PC gaming world, which was small. But I think these days these are going to be some pretty small games.
Well, probably when they start coming out, that once these 1 or 2 really start hitting and prove successful, you're going to see just a metric ton of copies out there of that sort of gameplay too. So yeah, there's gonna eventually be a ton of these kind of floating around once 1 or 2 prove that people do want to play this type of game.
It's funny because when did we talk about Elite? Was that last week? Was that last week's show?
I think it was last week.
And I was saying how completely off my radar and everyone else's radar it was. I hadn't even paid attention to it, and now I picked it up and I just haven't stopped playing.
Now here we are a week later. You can't even bother to do a show because you
I can't even stop to do a show.
Gary, have you even been out of the house for the past week?
No, I'm just space trucking. I'm just hauling shit back and forth 24/7. Fish.
You have. I've seen so many times where you throw up streams of that over the past few days. It's just been insane.
Yeah, I've been streaming. Yesterday, just fucking asshole. I'm an asshole, but the guy who killed me was more of an asshole. So I'm in like a 90,000 credit ship. That was all my money. And stupid me didn't have any money in reserve, not even enough for insurance. And I decide to go out. Somebody scans my ship. I was like, all right, hostile scan. You want to go at it? So we start dogfighting. I'm clearly going to just beat the shit out of this guy. So what does he decide to do? Full throttle, jump right into me and just kamikaze and smash his ship into mine, destroying my ship.
Wow.
And then didn't have enough money for the insurance. Now back at square one where I was a week ago. All right, welcome to a sandbox game. So I'm having fun though. All right, next up, something I know you guys. I don't know if you're. I know. Troy's really excited about this one. I don't know about you, Justin, but Black Desert. So they announced their Western publishers this week. Is it Damn Communications? Is that what it is?
I have no idea. I do not know how to pronounce that. Damn. Not a clue.
Damn.
Who is it? Who is this company that nobody's ever heard of?
Damn Communications.
They're the ones who are publishing it in South Korea. The same publishers over there are going to be handling that in the West. And whether or not that's a good thing is going to be up for debate for a while.
Yeah, they're not even. They don't have anything in the U.S. that we know of. They're just they do a big internet service provider in South Korea, and apparently they are publishing their game, and they're like, "Hey, we'll just publish the U.S. one as well and take all the money and rake it in."
Are you guys excited for Black Desert? I mean, I know the visuals. People are really going crazy about how it looks because it looks pretty. But
I think that's what most people are seeing.
Right.
It's like
what's
in the action combat.
What's
of
getting
I was going to say, if you've
so
watched the combat videos, the combat looks fun too. There has to be something wrong with this game, Gary Gannon. This looks too pretty. It looks like too much fun. There is something wrong with this game, and I will figure out what it is.
You're just not sure, but you're going to get to the bottom of it.
There has to be. This game cannot be as perfect as it looks when you watch all the things that are out there on it right now. There's something going on here.
How about if I?
Yeah, no one knows what's wrong. We haven't figured out what's wrong with it. Of course, we don't have any way to know what's wrong with it ourselves. But they've been in closed betas over there in Korea. They've already gone through 2. They're going into a 3rd here soon. But as far as what's wrong with it, no idea. And the biggest thing that might be wrong with it is the fact that they have a South Korean publisher for the U.S. version.
So this company is an internet service provider. Literally, they are an ISP, and they are going to be distributing the game.
Well, they do tons of things, apparently. They host forums and chat rooms, and I think they kind of control the internet over in South Korea.
They control the internet, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, that's the best way I can think of it.
So we're being invaded. Is that what you're saying? We're being invaded.
I mean, wow, right now it's completely escaping my mind. I'm trying to figure it out. Who's the one that works with Riot Games and Smite and controls them?
Tencent.
What's their name again?
Tencent.
Yeah, so I think it's like the Tencent of Korea.
Don't know anything about them.
That's the I think that's the best way I can put it. Is they do.
So when is this going to come out? When is this game actually going to hit the shelves?
Oh, we don't know. Even in South Korea, it's only about 80% finished right now. They say they've begun working on the English client about 7 months ago, but maybe having this Korean publisher is going to sort of decrease the delay between when things happen over there and when things happen over here. But it sounds like they're still a ways off from even having the game launched over there. So, I mean, I would guess that that's going to be launched and established over there before we even really start seeing alphas and betas over here. If I had to guess right now, I'd say it's going to be up and going over there for a little while before we even start seeing it. But at least we've got an idea that it is definitely, they at least do have definite plans for it to come over here now, because I know a lot of people have been excited about it, but there's been no word on when it's coming, who's doing it, whatever. So we're all been kind of worried that we may not get this one. It's
going to be another one of those letdowns. Everybody gets all excited about these, Eastern games, and you get it, and you're like, oh my god, another one.
I can't imagine it being anything else, which is what worries me, because I am, Eastern games are just, usually even when I just see them for the first time, they're an automatic turnoff for me. There's just, a lot of things they do over there that I'm not.
Why are you so excited about this one? Because you're like giddy. Every time the news
I
comes
don't
up, you're like, can I write that? Can I write
yet?
that? I want to write that.
Because all they've shown us is graphics and combat. That's all we see. So it's just like, this looks so good. I don't know what else you do in the game, but
they haven't shown you the 2 million mobs you have to grind to get one level in this game yet. And I think that's going to be one of the big problems, especially since it's the same publisher. There's not going to be, gameplay westernization. They're probably just going to translate it and throw it over here. And Westerners, we like to quest grind. We do not like to mob grind. And in the East, they like to mob grind. They don't like to quest.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
Quest grind is crap. I'd rather go kill mobs. No,
I'd rather haul fish.
This is where I'd rather haul fish. This is where I disagree with Choi on this part. And this is why I might think that them having the same publisher as South Korean one might be beneficial. For the past 10 years or whatever, we've tried to westernize games. I mean, we saw how well westernizing Terra went. Whatever they did.
I don't know what they did to consider that westernizing, but it was bad.
This idea of westernizing, I wonder if we've just gone so far of like, we've got to create something different in order to market to the Western market, and it's just failed miserably. Maybe if they just bring the games over, change very little, it'll actually be really fun. I mean, there are other companies who do that. And theirs works really well. Nexon, I think, being one of them, gets a lot of people playing their games.
They just hit that demographic who likes that type of gaming here, and then just call it a day. I think the other game that's coming out soon that I played a bit of, not a ton, but a pretty good amount, that I think they could actually really make some waves here is ArcAge. I think it at least has an audience. I think it at least has an audience here. A pretty good.
I am getting hooked. I am getting hooked into ArcAge. I didn't think it was going to happen. It took 3 times going in and starting completely over, but all of a sudden it just hooked me. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Here's what everybody has been talking about. And it took me forever to get to that point.
ArcAge is bridging that gap a bit better, I think, between the sandbox and theme park than other games have attempted to do. And I think that's really what makes them. There's people who they say they want the sandbox, like, oh, I want a sandbox, but in reality they get mad that they don't have their Quest theme park stuff in there as well. And I think ArcAge really bridges that for those people. Like, yes, here's your sandbox, but we still have this in here in some sort of way to where you're not just suddenly lost and confused and crying about it.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a tweener than a straight-up sandbox. It's sort of a, like you said, it's a bridge between the gap. It's sort of a step up as you sort of develop your taste for the sandbox. Here's what you go from straight theme park. Go to ArcAge next, and then decide if you want to step on up to a pure sandbox experience.
We shall see. Speaking of Tryon, Rift released patch 2.8. What is it? Madness Wakes, I believe it's called. So they have a video. This is what the prequel to the expansion 3.0, which is the Nightmare Tide. So what's going on in the patch?
This is pretty much going to be the last major update. I would imagine there's going to be some sort of event or something that gets put in leading up to 3.0. But as far as, big, expansive content, this is going to be the last big one leading up to that. It sort of leads into that. You've got a new dungeon out in Shimmer Sand where you kind of go in and experience the story. The plane of water has come in and they're taking over the nightmares and sort of getting into the themes of what sort of the Nightmare Tide's going to be about with waters and nightmares and dreams and things like that. And, then we got a few other little in-game nice things to have. The Pyromancer got a complete rework. If you run a Mage Soul and enjoy the Pyromancer, they just tore it down and rebuilt it from the ground up. And the new auction house system that came with a little bit of controversy this week as well.
Really? What's that?
They've introduced the new auction house, and it's basically a new interface. It's got better searchability. You can actually create and fulfill buy orders for items that you're looking for. And you can also buy, like if somebody puts a stack of 100 something on the auction house, as long as they've checked, haven't unchecked the box that allows you to do so, you can buy a portion of that stack. You don't have to buy the whole stack if you don't want the whole stack. Convenient stuff and stuff that's nice to have. The thing that caused the controversy is that they implemented a brand new flat, no matter how long your auction is, 5% tax on everything going on the auction house. And the forums sort of kind of backlashed at them a little bit, saying, hey, whoa here, this is a pretty big cut into our expenses, especially on the lower end sales. And their argument was essentially, Trion's argument was essentially that, we're trying to get some of the, excess plat back off, out from out of the world. They're trying to bleed some of that off, as usual. All game developers fight with this. And so what they've done, they've made a compromise that's going to be implemented, I believe, in a hot fix here pretty soon, where they're going to kind of tier the taxes on the auction house. Did I just... My monitor just went black. I thought I lost everything. They're going to tier the taxes on the auction house, where it's lower taxes if you're a shorter sale, and it goes back up to the 5% if you're in a higher sale. And Daglar has essentially said, we are willing to listen to you guys and work with you to make a compromise, but we are not reverting back to the way it was, because we've got to bleed some of this plat out of the economy.
I think that's understandable, and I mean those guys definitely do listen to the community, so it's cool that they're at least listening and bending and not just saying, hey, deal with it, and you guys just get used to it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they've got one of the better relationships with their forum community, because the forum community as a whole doesn't just backlash at every change. They try to give everything a chance, and so when they do backlash at something, Tryon usually listens and says, hey, they may actually have a point. Let's see if there's some adjustments that can be made here.
So Rift players are not your common gamer. Is that what you're saying?
I would say no.
Their forum users aren't your common forum users, I think is what I'm trying to say. As a whole.
They're actually
they're obviously individual
nice people
and stuff in there. But as a whole, they're better at communicating with Tryon, and Tryon's better at communicating with them than some of the other forums for games that you can go into that shall remain unnamed.
Well, and I think it's never been doubted that Tryon has been definitely a company that the players can just relate to and like.
Yeah.
And for any of their games. I mean, people have been able to talk with them, laughed with them, enjoyed their stuff. So,
sorry guys, it
sounds like something's going down.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking, and I'm listening to you, and I'm talking about Tryon, and I didn't even request docking, and now I just trespassed into the spaceport. I gotta leave. And I'm very,
so you're being shot down?
No, but I'm probably gonna have to pay a fine. God damn it.
Oh man.
All right, last up.
So much for getting that shit back.
We talked about Firefall releasing last week. Some websites got their hands on it, reviewed it. Got a little hammered.
People don't seem to be a fan of what's going on in Firefall. I was excited, but I was excited because there was new stuff coming. I wasn't really critiquing too hard what they had done so far. It was just more of, for me, it was excitement that they were doing something. They was actually launching the game, and there was actually new stuff coming in. When you look at the reviews, though, people don't seem to think very highly of what's there in its current state.
No, I mean, I think there's the idea that there's a lot of world but very little to do in it, is what people feel like. And there's so much you have to do, but very little of it makes sense to people. I think it's still suffering possibly from that idea of what do I do in Firefall. And then people just felt like the little quest that they do have was sending them back and forth between the same locations, and it had a very frustrating beginning experience for people. And I think that's most of it came down to, is however many hours they put into it. It drove them nuts in those few hours.
And we talked last week that like I feel that they found the direction that they want to go in, which is something that has been lacking for a long, long time. You never really felt like the dev team as a whole had a direction everybody was working towards. Like we talked about last week, it feels like that they've got that direction, but man, they sure do feel like they've got a long way to get to the destination of where they need to go with it. But maybe at least they're all heading on the same path now. So maybe we can get there at some point now.
We shall see. I mean, it looks like they're trying to save this thing. I mean, the ship was being steered in the wrong direction. It looks like, and I think I'm steering my ship in the wrong direction because I can't dock. But yeah, I think MMORPG gave it a 77. PC Gamer really hammered it. What, they give it like a 47?
Yeah, I haven't even read the review.
PC Gamer gave it a 47. PC Games In gave 40.
Yeah, you see that number, and that tells you all you need to know about what they thought of the game. You always say, you don't go by the number, read the review. When they give it a 47, you don't need to read the review.
People are probably wondering why MMORPG.com gave it a 77. People are like, "What's this?"
I'm kind of wondering myself. All right, I got a doc.
Maybe that reviewer probably played some longer before already.
Probably so. I mean, if you played the old school, you don't really, I mean, you don't feel it as much. Like new players coming in are like, man, there's not a whole lot to do. If you've been there since like early beta and alpha, you're like, man, there's a lot more to do than there used to be.
Well, that was part of the problem, and I think that's really the big issue right there. Is I went into it and I played through all the quests, and they said you went back and forth, and it took forever. They were so far apart or whatever, just to go talk to somebody and go back.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it, and I think part of that reason is one, I already had jump pads in my package bag that I knew to take out, put on the ground, and go flying into the air on. I had like a level 24, 27 character already that I was using, and I had a motorcycle to get around on. So I was just jumping around, flying to places really quick, and knocking that stuff out.
And not to mention, you've already gotten used to running back and forth on the map, doing Ares missions and dynamic events and stuff. You've already come to expect that type of gameplay from the game.
Do as well. Like the questing was like, I guess I'll complete this quest so that she'd shut up. It was more like I just wanted to go play it. And I think that's what I went into. So I didn't see it as that bad, but from someone just coming in their first time, it's got to be a world of difference to confusion.
I'm gonna hold off on
I can
downloading
definitely
that
see
one.
that.
I was gonna jump back in, but I'm holding off at this point. I'm gonna give him some more time. Let that cook a little longer.
Firefall 2.
There you go.
Out.
All right, this week in MMO episode 197 for August 7, 2014. There's no outro music. Justin, Troy, Gary, thank you for watching, and let us know if you like this show actually, with the gameplay instead of the cameras, and leave a comment below and let us know what you think of it. Maybe we'll do it again. I don't know. It's kind of a mess, but I gotta go haul fish. All right, later.